You can also, another technique we use, we can concatenate two strings together. So, I have a first name, last name, Adam Barani. How do I print those together? And I have them in separate boxes. I have a box called first name, a box called last name. I have a variable string type called first name, and then another one last name, right? So I can use the plus sign. It's not going to add my text because, there's no number there, but I can still use that and actually combine them together. So in this case, we took an example of Steve plus Steve, and then this concatenated to Steve. Doesn't make a lot of sense here, but I'm just trying, giving you an example of what that does. And notice a few things here with me. If you look at this, first of all, we got a quote. So what is that quote? So that quote is actually indication that, hey, ignore whatever in here, take it as it is, right? With number, we just want to write the number. We don't really care. We don't have to do anything special, basically. But with a string, you have to be careful and you have to add those quotes, because if you don't add the quotes, the code might think that, okay, is this actually like a keyword for me? Are you trying to tell me Steve is something? In this case, Steve is nothing, it's just a name. So we add the quote, surround the text with a quote to prevent Java from looking into that and trying to do something not supposed to do, right? And then the second thing, if you can notice, is that when we concatenate Steve and Steve, we didn't get that space. We just basically merged them together. And that's on purpose because Java is giving you the power. It's saying, I trust you. If you're telling me within quote, Steve, I'm going to give it as it is and keep it as it is. Just combine the two and give it to you together. If you wanted a space, then give me the space within the string, the text, the variable that you define, right? So if I wanted to kind of have a space between those two, see, like within New York is a good example. I have New York, but they're separate with a space. I kept that as it is, and that's why you see it in the kind of the second line here, because I'm wrapping it to the second line and I'm adding Steve to it. Kept the Steve as it is, pushed it together, but I kept the space also that you had in this string. Okay. The last example also have kind of the same idea. We have a hello, exclamation mark, and we have a space. So now we got hello, Steve, and they're actually separate, like a real world situation, right? So, you got to be careful when you write this and, pay extra attention to the spacing, the indentation that you do. Everything inside the quote going to be as it is, but once you step out of the quote, that spacing is not that important. Java can figure it out. So in this case, even though we started a new line, right, it technically didn't really do a new line. It just kept the word as it is and combined it with the hello, but we had a space, so that's what got added. Okay, so we can use the plus sign for our integers, our numbers, and we can use it for our strings as well.